And so we've come to the first of the characters I have covered in my original character profile series, Pingu. Pingu is a character in my eyes that never gets old. His theme songs over the years are great, his voice actors provide a wonderful vocal range, he's just a joy to watch. Now, as this is one of the few characters that I've covered before, chances are what I say here is not new. But be warned, my opinions on some of these characters I reviewed in the past have changed quite a bit. Particularly with the 3 SMG4 characters I've covered in the past. Those being Tari, Meggy, and Destiny. So just be aware of that. But we're going to take it in baby steps for now. So without further ado, let's get into a retrospective of Pingu. Buckle up, folks. Pingu is a 5-year-old cheery, fun-loving penguin who lives with his family in the South Pole. He sometimes helps with his mother and father out with chores, and he often takes care of Pingu when his mother and father are busy. Like any child, he's constantly pushing boundaries, so that even the most routine activities transform into the unexpected when Pingu gets involved. Luckily, Pingu is good at getting out of trouble, as he is good at getting into it, and he usually manages to win everyone over with his playful nature. Despite having a genuine caring nature, Pingu can be very troublesome and mischievous, as most kids all over the world are. There is a recurring gag in the series where Pingu refuses to eat or misbehaves at the dinner table. As the series progressed, Pingu became a much more mature and responsible penguin. He later has a crush on Pingy. He hangs out with his friends more and takes responsibility, as seen in Pingu and Pinga at the kindergarten. This new trait carried over to Pingu in the city, where he took on several jobs in the show, such as a football player, a railway tram conductor, a cook, the list goes on. In terms of voice actors, Pingu doesn't have really that much compared to Thomas. In fact, he only has 3 voice actors: Carlo Bonomi, may he rest in peace, David Sant, and Ryota Iwasaki. And no, I'm not counting the VAs for stuff outside the main series, such as Otmar Gutmann, Andres von dem Meden, can't pronounce that, Marcel Neff, Michael Harak, and Hugh Moran, as I'm only covering the main series voice actors. So let's start off with, of course, Pingu's VA from the first 4 seasons, the late Carlo Bonomi. Now, similar to the first 4 seasons of Fire and Sam, and the first season of Postman Pat, every character, including females, were played by one guy, and in Pingu's case, it's Carlo Bonomi. Carlo plays the part of Pingu so well. His voice for the character is so iconic, whether it's in the original dubbed versions of seasons 1 and 2, or the redubbed versions of seasons 1 and 2. It's both sides of the coin, really. David Sant, in my opinion, is the best Pingu voice hands down. He takes the wonderful voice Carlo gave to the character and amps it up to 11. His voice performance is charming, but also quite funny to listen to at the same time. And finally, we have Ryota Iwasaki. Ryota's voice for Pingu falls under the same category as Elsie Lovelock and Lottie Bourne do for Meggy and Tari respectively, as Ryota's Pingu voice in Pingu in the City sounds quite similar to David Sant's voice. Like, if you listen to them back to back, then you'll see where I'm coming from. Anyways, not much to say other than I really do enjoy Ryota's vocal range as Pingu. Sure, Pingu in the City is very slow going, and the complete opposite of what stuff like Big World Big Adventures is. But I can't deny the charm and really solid voice acting it has, especially for our main character. Now, how does Pingu fare with episodes? When it came to episodes, I was so close to giving Pingu and the Doorbell the MVP, but I just had to give it to Pingu the Babysitter. Not only are the circumstances in that episode are hilarious as fuck, but Pingu is at his very best in this episode. You really do feel sorry for all the shit he has to deal with taking care of the two baby sisters. Like, imagine looking after cute little Pingu, but twice the pain Pingu has to deal with. You wouldn't want to be in Pingu's life now, wouldn't you? I also want to give Pingu the Hero a shout out as well. In that episode, Pingu befriends a bench warmer for the local football team and discovers his new friend's hidden talent. This is one of the newest Pingu and Destiny episodes I've watched, and it's quite a good one. Pingu was portrayed really well in that episode. It's one of my favorites from the show as a whole. Now, picking out my least favorite Pingu episode was pretty hard, as, from what I can tell, Pingu hasn't had any bad episodes at all, and the worst you can get is just average. But if I had to pick one, it would probably be Green-Eyed Pingu. This episode is just weird. Pingu and Ping are just competing against each other to pick out the best things for Pingu. No one's really out of character in this episode, and it's not the worst episode from anything I've seen. That will be coming soon. But it's just quite average at best. Definitely the weakest episode from Season 6. Pingu is such a charming character to watch. From his attitude that kids his age can relate to the same amount of caringness Thomas has, and to his interactions from his many friends and family members, many of which will carry over into when Hits Entertainment took control over the show. In fact, he's the one character in his show that I relate to the most, and is my personal favorite. A lot of people would say Robbie is their favorite character in the show, and to an extent, I could see why. Robbie is actually my second favorite character in the show, and the interactions between him and Pingu are always fun to watch. He's not too relatable to me personally like Thomas, but Pingu is still a character I have a lot of respect for. And thus concludes the second installment in my new series. Next in the series will be the first group of characters I'll be covering, albeit being 4 of them, those being the Teletubbies. I recently got back into Rub again after all these years, and what better way to cover 4 other characters made by the same company as him. Granted, just like Pingu, my opinions on these guys might not have changed, but you'll have to find out in the actual review if they actually have. At least, very partially. That's all for this episode, folks. Click that like button if you enjoyed this retrospective, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you don't want to miss out on all the cool stuff that goes up on the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next installment of the Character Highlight Reel. Bye guys.